Hi guys, so if you are playing Armada or thinking about playing Armada and you want to be able to build a 400 point fleet, which is the standard for most games, but you're on a budget and you don't necessarily want to have to buy 10 different expansions to get there, then this is the right place for you. So if you haven't already checked out my Imperial video for the Imperial side, you can go ahead and do that as well. I'll link that at the end of the video. But this is going to be for the Rebels specifically, because the first thing I tell people is pick a faction, because that'll save you a lot of money, because you won't have to necessarily just buy random stuff not knowing what you're getting. Pick a faction. Some things come with stuff for both factions, so maybe you have a friend who's also doing it and you can split some of the purchases and do things that way. So if you've already chosen Rebels, now you'll need a core set. And if you already have that, and you're halfway there. But a core set is huge because it comes with everything you need to play the game. It comes with dice, it comes with a maneuver tool, it comes with a couple of ships, comes with some unique cards as well. So if you were just thinking of buying ships and skipping the core set, you're going to miss out on stuff like General Dodonna, who's a fantastic Rebel commander. He's my favorite Rebel commander. I used him in like 90% of Rebel lists I play, even to this day. And he was the first one to come out. So Dodonna's, you can't live without Dodonna. He's just fantastic. But it comes with two ships as well. Plus, all your asteroids, your space station, all this stuff. You're going to have a core set. But what to buy after that? Well, my first suggestion is to buy a Liberty. Now, the Liberty is a Mon Calamari ship that's got the wings. You see it in Return of the Jedi. It's also mentioned heavily in a lot of the books. The winged MC-80, otherwise known as the Liberty, fantastic ship, and it's really, really good in this game. For one, it's a very expensive ship, so you can outfit this thing with some upgrades and have it use up almost half the points in your list. Now, that's great for getting up to 400 points for a budget, and that's kind of the focus of this video. But long-term stuff, you don't always want to put 200 points on one ship, because if that ship gets destroyed, you probably are going to lose. But for starting out, great option to help you save money. So the Liberty comes with a lot of really cool upgrades. It comes with something like spinal armament, which is a fantastic, it's the only place to get it. And it comes with some other stuff. It's the only ship that has 2 turbo laser upgrades. So that's also something that is unique to that ship, and it really can add to the cost, as well as adding to, or the points cost, as well as adding to the deadliness of that ship. It comes with General Madine, who's a very good Rebel commander. It really increases the maneuverability of ships, and it works pretty well with the Liberty itself. So Madine is a very nice commander to have, and that's who you get with the Liberty. So Liberty is definitely the first ship I suggest going for. The Liberty is a frontal arc centric ship, so its frontal arc is definitely the most powerful arc in this ship, whereas certain other ships are more heavily focused towards their side arcs. And that's important to know because there are some ships that I'm going to suggest later on that are big side arc ships, but it's important to know, like, if you really want one ship or you favor a certain play style, then certainly you don't have to follow my advice. This is just my opinion, and whatever you want, if there's something that you have your heart set on a specific ship, then you should get that first, because that's what really matters. But if you're just trying to get to 400 points and you want to be kind of efficient about it and get the best bang for your buck, I'm going to help you get there. So the next expansion I'm going to suggest is the MC-30. Now, the MC-30 is kind of in a weird spot in this list. It's probably my favorite expansion for the Rebels that there is. However, it's not the easiest ship to fly, but what puts it so high on this list is a combination of things. For one, it comes with some of the best upgrade cards in the game. I'm talking about the turbo laser reroute circuits, like probably the single best upgrade I've ever seen. I love it. It comes with ordnance experts. It comes with assault proton torpedoes. So fantastic upgrades that come with this, and they're actually very good for both factions. So if you're an Imperial player, you may end up finding yourself buying an MC-30 or 4. Maybe not 4, but or maybe you'll buy some of the cards from it on eBay. Some people will do that just to get a card here and there. But the MC-30 comes with General Riken. Now, Riken is a pretty interesting commander. He works well with certain types of lists. He's not necessarily the best commander for every list, but I like Riken. He's cool. He's a good option to have. And the MC-30 ship itself is pretty good. It's more of a side arc ship, but it's still can be used in a list that is more focused on being front arcs. So you're not. It's not like you have to pick and oh, I'm going with only frontal arc stuff. So it works in any kind of list, and it's a really deadly ship, especially if you outfit it a lot. It's just a great ship. It comes with great cards. So that's the MC30. I think it should be like the second purchase that you make. All right, after the core set and then the Liberty. So then the MC30. Next up is where we're gonna. Some people may disagree, and that's fine if you do. But like I said, this is my opinion. Next up, I'm gonna say the CR90 expansion pack. Now the CR90 might be a hard purchase for a lot of you because you've already got the core set. And like, I've got a CR90 in there already. Why do I want a second one? Especially as like the third thing I should buy. I totally get that. But hear me out. CR90 comes with amazing things. For one, it comes with Mon Mothma as a commander. It's the only place to get her. Mon Mothma is phenomenally good. She is up there with Dodonna in terms of how amazing she is. She works really well in certain lists, and when somebody has a Mon Mothma build, it's just very hard to kill their ships. So Mon Mothma is just incredibly good, and this is the place that you get her. The CR90 itself is also a very good ship, and because they're so cheap, you can fly multiples of them, and you're getting some great titles in here that you don't get in the core set. So this makes the CR90 even better than the one that you get in the core set. And because now you'll have two CR90s, you'll end up having three, because you get one title in the core set, but you're also going to get two more titles for CR90s in the expansion. So now you'll have three different titles that you can mix and match on your two different ships. Only one title per ship, obviously, but it improves a ship that you already have. So that's one reason why I think it's a great purchase, because it's boosting something you already have, giving you more capability, more stuff that you can do with something you already got. Another thing that makes the CR90 a great extra buy is that the MC30 comes with turbo laser reroute circuits, and the CR90 is like the ideal platform for turbo laser reroute circuits. It's like the best ship in the world to put that on, because if its price point, the number of red dice it has, and the fact that it has multiple evades, so it can shoot twice and use TRCs twice a turn at almost no cost. So it's just incredible, especially if you bought an MC30. Now, if you're not buying an MC30 right away, maybe hold off on the CR90. But I think that one of the biggest advantages to having multiple CR90s is if you also have multiple turbo laser reroute circuits and you can field them. If you're playing in any tournaments this year in 2017, one of the kits that they've said they're going to give out is going to have TRC cards as promotional cards. So they're going to be giveaways for some free TRCs. So if you're lucky enough to get one or more of those, then that's all the more reason to pick up another CR90, because that's a free, fantastic upgrade to put on it. So the next one is, in the same regard, the Nebulon B. Now the Nebulon B expansion, again, you already have a Nebulon B, it came with the core set, but here's another example of a ship that's enhancing the one you already have. So it comes with Yavaris and Salvation, which are titles for the Nebulon B that are just both incredible. Like the biggest difference a title can make, these two titles make on a ship. Salvation makes it a really strong frontal arc ship, and Yavaris makes it a really strong carrier. Now, you might not want to do carriers and focus on squadrons too much this early in the game, but there's a lot of wealth of knowledge that comes with squadrons once you're a more experienced player, and you're definitely going to want to have a Yavaris. This isn't like in my top 3 to buy because of that, but it is definitely great. And one of the other things, this is the only place that you can get XI7, and XI7s are so good. It's just a really solid turbo laser upgrade, and it works in all lists. Even if you're an Imperial player, you probably want some XI7s, and they're just fantastic. And some people were able to get some extra XI7s as promotionals from last year's tournaments. So if you happen to have a friend who's got extra XI7s and they loan you one, you try it out. You're gonna love it. But that's why I say Nebulon B. But only one. I mean, you're not going to want too many Nebulon Bs, but two. One for your core set and one for the expansion is usually a really a good comfortable number. Down the road, though, I'd say more for CR90s. You may want to get like 3 or even 4 of those at some point. I once played up a guy who had 6 of them, and it was a disaster. But CR90s are, get a lot of those, but Nebulon Bs just get 1, and I think you'll be fine. So now we're going to get into the next one that I will suggest is Home One. This is the MC-80 that we see Admiral Akbar on in Return of the Jedi. It comes with Admiral Akbar, who is a fantastic rebel commander. Fantastic. He gives your side arc ships 2 extra red dice when they're attacking, as long as they say they're only going to attack out of their side arcs. So that's really, really strong. That's incredibly strong. But he does kind of want you to build a list that's side arc centric. And some of the newer, some of the best stuff right now isn't exactly side arc centric. So that's why he ranks a little lower. But the Home One is, he could be a first purchase after our core set. If you know that you want to go side arcs, and you want to, do kind of like the broadside firing, then if that's the case, I would actually put this one at the top of the list and say, get this one first, and then get an assault frigate next, and then maybe an MC-30, or something like that. But if that's not, if you don't already have that's what you want to do. That's why I put it a little bit farther down, because once you get a Home One, you're going to need a couple of other ships to make the Akbar build work. And so it's not like a standalone expansion. So that's kind of why it ranks a little bit lower. But it does come with some other really cool stuff. Like it has 2 defensive retrofits on it, so you can really make it very defensive. The MC-80 is just a tank of a ship. It's hard to kill. And it also is a very expensive ship, so it can use up a lot of points in your list. So that is a good, some good advantages from the Home One expansion. It has a Home One title, which is really nice. It's just, it requires some extra stuff to really make that whole list work. So that's why it ranks a little lower. Next is the Assault Frigate Mark II. The Assault Frigate is a good ship. It's solid. It's just not amazing. It's good in all areas. It's like the most well-rounded ship, a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Right? The Assault Frigate's one of the best things about it. I think it works really well in an Akbar list. So if you get a Home One, definitely get an Assault Frigate or even 2 Assault Frigates to go with it. It synergizes really well because they have strong side arcs, but they also have decent front arcs, but their side arcs are their strength. You get Garm Bel Iblis with the Assault Frigate. Garm Bel Iblis is actually one of the worst rebel commanders, and it's a shame that he is. I think they're trying to make him better. Some of the newer stuff makes him a little better, but he's still very underwhelming because it's stuff that only happens on certain turns. So you have other turns where he's doing nothing, and I like a little more consistency than that. But you also get Adar Talon in the Assault Frigate, and he's very nice once you start using Squadrons and trying to get into some of the more advanced Squadron stuff. Adar Talon's a really cool guy to have. So the Assault Frigate is a great expansion, is just not giving you anything that you can't live without. That's why I say that's why it's kind of a little bit lower on my list. But again, if you go with Akbar first, in the Home One first, then that puts the Assault Frigate way up in the list as probably maybe your 3rd option. All right, next is the Rebel Transports. Now, the transports are a flotilla. This is kind of a newer entry to the catalog of Armada. These are your Rebel Transports that you've seen in Empire Strikes Back, and you also see them in all this big space battles thereafter. But it comes with Aaron Kraken. He's an all-right list. He requires a specific fleet for him to work, so I've only used him once. Because you have to build a fleet specifically around him, and I like for commanders that are more broad and everything. They work with everything. But they have the flotillas have the new fleet support upgrades. So the Rebel Transports have their support ships. One of the reasons they're lower on my list is that they only their cheapest one is only 18 points. There are Squadrons that cost more than 18 points. And so it's not going to be a budget ship for you to be able to fill out your list with. It's a ship that you're going to want a lot of. And if you're buying, 10 or 12 expansions, then yes, then you'll get a couple of Rebel Transports. But, if you're just trying to get to that 400 point price point, this is not the way to do it. They're a great ship. I own several of them and I love them. But, they're not cheap to fill a 400 point list with Rebel Transports. But that being said, they do have some very great things that are worth noting. The fleet support upgrade, you can get things like Bomber Command Center, which when you start flying squadrons and you want your bombers, the X-Wings have bomber, so it can help your X-Wings get re-rolls when they're attacking a ship. So that's good. But you also have got other things, like when you get some of the other squadrons, your B-Wings and some of your other bombers are going to really be able to benefit from that. So that's great, but it comes with the unique repair cruise. It comes with a repair cruise. Now, repair cruise is only available in this. The Gazanti is the Imperial's version of the flotilla. It has Bomber Command Center and all the other ones, but it doesn't come with repair cruise. It comes with slicer tools. So if you really like the GR-75, you may also have to get a Gazanti so you can get slicer tools. And if you really like the Gazanti, you may want to pick up a GR-75 so you can get repair cruise. But that's once you have your fleet already and you're trying to tweak it a little bit more. But that's for the Imperial players watching. That there's some other things. There is some crossover where you kind of want to get stuff from the other faction as well, or if you have or borrow cards. Borrowing stuff works too. So that's the Rebel transports. And at the bottom of my list is the newest entry as of February 2017 into the Rebel list is the Phoenix Home expansion. Now, the Phoenix Home expansion ranks kind of low because I really find it underwhelming. It works well as a carrier. It works really well as a carrier, but if it's not being a carrier, it's kind of a junky ship to me. So far, I've played with it a couple of times. I'm just really not a fan of the way this ship plays, and if you're going to run it as a carrier, then it requires extra squadrons to go with it on top of that, and I think it's just going to increase your cost. So it comes with Sato, and he's all right. He works well with squadrons. He's not one of my favorite Rebel commander, but he's, I think he's still got some possibilities, and he hasn't been play tested as much as of right now, so I think he'll probably be better. But there are some really good things that come at the Phoenix Home that you will want eventually, like flechette torpedoes are really good, but they're actually even better for the Empire. And then Rapid Launch Bay, which is great for either faction. But Rapid Launch Bay actually allows your X-Wings or your other squadrons to be inside the ship and then launch from the ship, so it keeps them safe while you carry them into battle. That's great for some slower ships like B-Wings. You can keep them in a fast ship and then launch them and get them into battle much safer and quicker. So great cards come with it, but the ship itself is something that I will probably never fly again. I've flown it a couple of times. And it has a new support upgrade that it can give commands out to the fleet, and they just don't seem like they're really worth the cost of bringing this ship and then paying for the upgrades as well. So Phoenix Home, get one eventually. I got two, but it was just for the upgrade cards. But it's pretty low on my list of things to buy. So again, if you love the Phoenix Home, that's awesome. I'm not saying it's a terrible ship. I personally am not a big fan of it, but it's not a terrible ship. It's just, if you're on a budget, it should probably be like the last ship you buy. All right, now Squadrons. If you've decided that you want to really go into the Squadron game and beyond the X-Wings that come with the core set, well, I'm going to actually change it up a little bit. Some people might say that you should get the first the Rebel Squadron Pack first, but I'm going to say get Rebel Fighters Pack 2 as your first Squadron Pack. It has a lot of really, really strong, fantastic ships that come with it. The Z-95s are really great. The Lancers are really great. And it comes with Hera. Now, Hera is maybe one of the most magnificent squadrons we've ever seen. And she can give like two of your X-Wings that come in your core set, or she can give Luke Skywalker Rogue, which Rogue is just a fantastic ability. So Hera is just great. She's expensive, but I think she's worth it. So get that as your first one. As your second one, probably get your Rogues and Villains pack. Rogues and Villains it's a harder purchase to make if you're only a Rebel player, because half of what comes in there is Imperial stuff. So when you're going to buy this pack, and only half of it you can use, the other half you can't even use. But it has important abilities like JNORs with Intel. It's got some other really good bombers in it. So it's really good. And the best thing is if you can find a buddy to split it with, and they can take your Imperial stuff, and then you can cut the cost down. And then the last one is the Rebel Fighter Pack 1. just because a lot of the ships that came in that pack have kind of been superseded by newer and better ships. You had B-Wings, and I love B-Wings. B-Wings are my favorite ship, and B-Wings come in the Rebel Fighter Pack 1. But they're just not as good as some of the other ones that have come out and also have Rogue, or that also have Grit, or are faster. And so a lot of stuff. It's not exactly. I mean, the B-Wings are still good. The balance is still there. It's just there's nothing in here that's really going to blow you away like there is in the other expansions. So you still need to get it eventually, because I mean, you should be flying B-Wings, right? And Y-Wings, and X-Wings, and A-Wings, and Tycho is in this pack, and he's great too. Wedge, you get Wedge in here. Wedge is all right, but but again, if you really want Wedge, then get Wedge first if you really want to. I just think you get the least in here that's going to blow you away. And last but not least, the Corellian conflict. I didn't mention the Corellian conflict in my Imperial video, but the Corellian conflict you should not get if you're on a budget. The reason is, I mean, it comes with some squadron upgrades, right? It gives you some new options for squadrons, and that's great, but it's $30, and then all you get is some new cards. Everything else that comes in here, I mean, you do get some new objectives, but you're not going to need that right away. Learn the objectives in the base game first. Play with that for a long time. Everything else that comes in the Corellian conflict is basically for the expansion, or I mean, it's for running the campaign. And if you're going to play in a campaign, chances are somebody else already has the Corellian conflict. So you don't need your own copy of the map. You only need one person to have it, and then you guys play it. So that's why I just say don't even bother with Corellian conflict unless you've got everything and you want to get, if you've got everything, then get the Corellian conflict. But if you're on a budget, you can just use somebody else's campaign if you're going to play the campaign with them. So that's why, because half of what's in that expansion, again, you wouldn't use. And then also, if you don't have the fighters yet, then everything in the Corellian conflict all those fighter cards are going to be useless on you, and the only thing you'll get is the new objective cards, and the objectives are cool, but if you're new to the game, you probably haven't played through all the regular objectives first. So play them; they're awesome too. So that is my list of what to get first when you're on a budget. If you're playing the Rebellion for Star Wars Armada. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check out all my other videos if you want to see all the latest stuff that I put out. I put out stuff on X-Wing, Armada, all kinds of other Star Wars games, Destiny, Star Wars Rebels. So all this stuff is coming out to you guys every week. So if you don't want to miss it, make sure you're subscribed. I do really appreciate it. And as always, leave a like and a comment. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.